Meeting to order. We begin with the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. If you will indulge me, I would like to make a little change in the agenda and invite Dr. Hemmon up to give his presentation.
Okay, I have a couple people with me.
And who do you have with you, Doctor?
I have with me is Rick Moulton, our Director of Buildings and Grounds, and Liz Searing, who is a teacher at Templeton Center. And there's two parts to this. One is to at least tell you what's happening on the move. And then the other piece we were asked, and one of your members asked if we could, and Liz will talk a little bit about the program that they're going to have for closing the school. So
Okay.
I understand you want to know something for that. Basically, what's going to happen right now is, as you know, K1 is going to be moving up to Narragansett. And on May 19th, we will be moving some of our high school rooms around at the high school, moving rooms around at the high school. And then from the 20th to the 30th, Mr. Moulton will be cleaning those rooms. Certain rooms we're going to be using right in the back corridor. The last 4 rooms down will become moving for the 8th grade. We'll be moving into that area. Because we're having to come up with 8 classrooms, 4 kindergarten and 4 first classrooms that are going to be in the back corridor of the middle school down at the end is where we're going to put them. They're right near bathrooms that they're going to be able to do that. So the 19th we're making moves, and the next day is the last day for seniors, so that's why it works out for us to move. And then the 8th grades will be moving on June 1st. We'll be making room changes with them to open up the rooms that we want for the K1. We're going to clean the rooms once, and then they can move in instead of moving people in, moving them out, cleaning and moving them back in. We're also starting, and it'll be starting soon, we're going to be picking up boxes, and at TC, there'll be teachers and staff will be packing up the boxes, ready to go, and they're going to label. We'll tell them which rooms they're going to be in with the teacher name. Then the last 2 days of school, they'll be working on that to hope finish that up. So what we're looking at then is somewhere around the 20th of June, the building committee has hired a mover to move the stuff from TC up to the middle school. And they were going in the back rooms in the back of, if you can picture the middle school, in the back of the room, there'll be 5, I think it's, 5 rooms, and then 3 others right across from there that'll be there for that, doing that. So that's what we're looking at. And also from like the 14th to 15th through the end of the 30th, technology, custodian, food service will be taking things out of the building that they want to use and keep. So then starting on the 30th, then the school committee, I think as we voted, will be turned over to the town. It's a town-owned building, and there's a lease that we have to use that building for education, which the law requires. Now, I was asked about what would be Bob and I were talking earlier, the expenses. At that point, at this point, we're looking at sometime October, November, that the contract would be awarded and that the contract would come in, they take possession of that building. And that's part of that is to take it down. And again, we're hoping that sometime this late fall, that it would come down, because where that building is now, it's going to be the staging area for the building. So that will be taken down. If it isn't any between July 1 and there, the only cost I can see, the heat's not going to be on.
No.
We have the heat. The water can be basically
Shut
off, which I think we should do anyways. That, and then electricity should stay on for a bit, not much use, because then you can still have the security system.
Right.
Only because you don't want people in there that just causing problems that we want to have. And I don't think anything else that we need to be concerned
I don't
with.
think so.
It's minimal cost that's going to be there to do that. So, I mean, I was asked, so that's where we're looking at that now. So we're looking to be out of there and have the K1 moved up to Narragansett. We anticipate I want to make it clear, it's an 18-month construction period. My feeling is they said we could be the fall of 18. I'm suggesting is maybe the max would be 3 years, because you never know what can happen in, weather-wise and weather, construction, whatever. So if we can get in there in the fall of 18, great. If it's going to be a little delayed, I want people to know it could be later. Anybody that's involved with construction of buildings know things can happen and take place. So I'm saying to people, the K1 up Narragansett, count on 3 years. It might happen in the fall if everything went well. It could happen if you wanted to make a move in the middle of the winter. They could make a move, because what's going to happen is the building is gonna be furnished, so they'd be moving in with certain educational materials that you have, but it would not be furniture and everything else, because that's part of it, so that could happen. So you're gonna have to wait and just see how that all develops. But you asked, and Diane, we're at a facilities meeting and asked if we'd come forward, and be glad to do that. Rick, I don't have anything else you wanna add that you think?
I really don't. On the cleaning of the rooms, actually, I got a jump on them last week during school vacation. We started stripping and waxing some of the floors and doing rug maintenance on several of the rooms. So I figured, because I don't know what's gonna come up in 2 or 3 weeks from now, so I figured if we could get a jump on it, we'd get a jump on it, which we did.
No. So I think we're in good shape. We got the timeline going, and people know what we're gonna do, so. The other aspect is that we can call it decommissioning, call it saying goodbye to the building that's 75 years old. And so the PTO has been involved with that, and Liz has been doing minutes and stuff, which I've been getting. So I asked her if she could come tonight and tell you a little bit what they're doing and the date that they're gonna plan on it.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I actually brought some flyers too, but we're planning on, so anyways, I teach first grade at the school, and I'm also part of the PTO, so we thought it would be great, like Dr. Hemmond said, to kind of have, like, we're calling it a goodbye to TC, or TC send-off. It is scheduled for Sunday, May 22nd, from 1 to 3, and actually, if you want, there's a bunch of flyers. And there's gonna be basically like 2 parts of it. We want it to be a time for people who have either, gone to the school and who still live in town, who don't still live in town, but just an opportunity for people to come through and walk through the building. So it's from 1 to 3 p.m., but from 1 to 2, it'll be kind of a walk through the school. And right now, we're collecting all sorts of old pictures and things to be displayed in the hall. So when people walk through, they can see all those things. And during that time, from 1 to 2, in the back of the school, we want to incorporate kids and families, so we're going to have some different activity stations for kids that are going to be run either by members of the PTO or teachers. So that'll be, not that the kids don't want to walk through, but it'll be something a little bit more exciting for the kids to do. And then from 2 to 2:30, we want to have some kind of a ceremony, so we've asked Dr. Hemmond, hopefully will speak at the ceremony, the principal, Dr. Graziano, who's there now. We're hoping to have Dr. Casavant, the incoming superintendent. And then we're hoping to have a past principal. So right now, I think Ken Vadalis, I don't know if anyone knows who he is, was there for many years. I guess I wasn't there when he was there, but we're hoping that he'll also speak during the ceremony. So that's kind of to be determined, the ceremony part of it. We've been meeting basically for the last month and a half every Monday, kind of coming up with ideas and, how this is all going to kind of turn out.
And I mentioned also if the board, John is Selectmen, who's the chair, would like to come as well.
Yeah, we're going to send out formal invitations, so if you all would like to attend, and school committee, and other members of the town as well, so.
Did any of you attend that building?
What's that?
Any of you go to that building?
I did.
Did you?
3rd, 4th, and part of 5th grade.
No. You're that old? I don't.
I won't tell you what years those were. Though.
Well, again, part of it, we can say, if the board members or whatever like to say something as part of that. And
Right.
It's just to acknowledge.
We're having also part of the ceremony, we're having like a kindergarten and first grade students, we're gonna have them make like thank you letters to the school and display them kind of all on the back fence for people to look at. And then grades 2 through 12, we're having a writing contest, like what's your fondest memory of Templeton Center? And we're gonna select 1 or 2 to also speak at the ceremony and read their memory. So that's kind of another way to incorporate kids that are in school now, whether they're at Templeton Center or in the older grades. So that's kind of where we're at. We're still, even though it's not that far away, we're still planning, and kind of that's the stage we're at.
Well, do you have a question or comment?
Yes, I had one question, only because we had problems with this building when it was empty. My question is, and it's been a while since I've been in that building, if it has a security system, I would advise to take it's a deterrent, and to take and leave it on, because unbeknownst to a lot of folks, this building was broken into at least 6 or 7 times. There were 3 people that were caught, and they had to end up doing some work for the for the town to replace windows that they had broken.
My recommendation, I think Rick would agree, is that to keep that security system
Well, I
on.
think Rick
We're
said
gonna
you're
leave
gonna
the,
keep the power on
I'm
anyway.
gonna leave the
right?
electricity on, shut off water and heat.
So that shouldn't be a
Yeah,
problem.
and keep the security
That's
running.
just a recommendation because of the problems we have here.
We were already planning on that, so.
Yeah.
One question.
Yeah. go ahead.
The grandfather clock, what's the plan for it?
The-
That's,
You read my mind.
Yeah.
Brian Tangway from the Historical Society has asked me if we would help him. He's gonna move that over and do some restoration on it during the construction. So, I volunteered my services. He hasn't given me a date when we're gonna do it, but we're gonna get that moved over to the Historical Society.
And then the plan is to bring it back.
Into the new school?
Yeah, he's gonna refinish it and
Also, I know, were you around, was it last week, the Historical Society and the Historical Commission? People went through both buildings?
yes,
Yeah, so we've had both, John Brooks, I think, was involved.
Yes.
Other people went through both TC and Baldwinville, looking at different plaques and stuff to save, so they have both come through. We arranged last Tuesday, was it?
Yep.
Yeah, Tuesday for them to come through,
Well,
so.
that was, I think the question I had was, are there any other items there that might be of historical value that we maybe should make sure they're taken care of properly?
yeah, well, I went through and photographed a lot. Brian didn't see a lot in there that he saw a few items. There's an old librarian's desk, and there's a few old bells, some old pictures. There's a few items, but maybe not, if someone's thinking there's 30 or 40 items in there, or there isn't. But,
No, I didn't think, I didn't know, I just, if there is something that, even if there's a doubt, I would
Yeah, well, I'm
hopefully-
trusting his instincts, because, he does it
Yeah.
all the time, so, yeah, there's a few items we'll get out of there before the, deconstruction starts, I guess, so to speak.
Of course, the decision, jumping a little bit, I won't be here, but you're going to have to start thinking about, in 2 or 3 years, about Baldwinville, what's going to happen to that building, because that will be turned over to the town as well. So again, what's going to be the future of that particular building, so, people have asked me, and I said, I don't know, because it's in the hands of the selectmen once we turn it over. So you have to just think about it, you've got plenty of time, but what's going to be the future of that location, so.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting question.
Yes, and I'll just sit and read the papers, what you decide to do, so.
Another quick thing on the send-off I didn't mention, we're looking into saving some of the bricks from the building, and if people want to get their name or family name engraved and maybe incorporate that into a walkway or something in the new schools, that's something that we're also looking into. We haven't really
We've been talking.
finalized that yet.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have to, we've been talking, both Rick and I are on the building committee, and that's part of the building committee, so we might ask you guys to come to a building committee meeting and plan that, because then that is, I believe we've gotten that, so the contractor knows that we want some of the bricks from there for that purpose. Either make a walkway or some more wall or something, people's names on them, whatever you want, so that we have to wait until that building comes down and then the bricks done. It is quite a bit of work once you get these old bricks. You think it's fun, trying to get all the cement off, so. But again, so work with, I think work with the contractor when they do that, and finally we're gonna get demolished.
All right, anything else? If not, thank you for coming in, and we're looking forward to seeing you on the 22nd.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
we'll
you.
make sure, ask to make sure a formal
Yep, we'll make sure that goes out
gives
for
you
sure.
guys to come, so, and leave it there, so. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, town administrator report.
Thank you. My time has been taken up basically with some items that are already on your agenda, including the ATM warrant, which has been updated today. There are 5 additional articles that are on the warrant that I passed out tonight. Also, with more work on the operating budget. I met with the advisory board on April the 20th. We've had 2 meetings of the IAC, the recently established reestablished IAC, an Insurance Advisory Committee. And we have to make a change tonight because we have found that when the selectmen established or reestablished the advisory committee in 2012, the appointments that they made were inconsistent with the appointments required by statute. So we have to make a couple of changes tonight for that. Negotiations with the Highway and Sewer Union for a new contract continue, Local 39. I think we're coming to a conclusion within the next, certainly within the month of May, but maybe within the next 10 days, I think we may have a wrap-up on that. I am very pleased to announce that the audit for fiscal 2013 has begun, and we are hopeful that the field work, they've taken materials with them that they're using or actually examining at their office, and the field work, meaning that they're going to send an actual auditor to the building, scheduled to begin next Monday. There's a meeting tomorrow night of the zoning board to review the school project and the applicability of the so-called Dover Amendment, which I'll be attending. And I think that's all that I have. We're going to be discussing, we've spent some time today looking at road projects for this year. I went out with the highway superintendent and looked at the ones that we've been discussing for the last at least 6 months. And I've given you some of the options here. He's here tonight to go over that. If you would like to take that up now, Mr. Chairman, as you can see, we currently have, or do you want to wait?
It's, I mean, I'm not adverse to taking it up now if the board has no objection.
Well, he's been on vacation, he just got back. So
Just got
I know
back?
he's a little tired, so,
Well, we can take it up now.
yeah, okay. Well, if you see the numbers in the handout that I gave you, we currently have $114,000 from the current year, unexpended. The announcement of the governor that we're getting $335,000 more in Chapter 90 this year. So we will have $450,731 for Chapter 90 road work this construction season, if we choose to use it. Right off the top, we have an obligation for the design of Royalston Road of $130,000. That would seem to come right off the top of the Chapter 90 allocation. We've discussed and we may want to suggest that that would be an item for the capital plan if we want to do more street construction. As you can see, under option 1, I've taken the 130 off the top there. The design for Otter River is $42,000. Keep in mind that the build-out of that is going to cost $225, so that's a big, expensive project once the design is done.
Let's say that's Otter River Road you're talking
Yes.
about. Okay.
Oh, not the river, Road. Bridge Street is in very poor condition, as everyone knows, and we have 2 numbers for Bridge Street. To do the full project, which is the binder, dense binder, and the top coat would cost $176,385. If we wanted to do only the binder, it's $120,000. We went over and drove the road today. It's really in very poor condition. The advantage of doing Bridge Street is that it provides access into the Light and Water Department, as well as the new COA. So,
You also have the Phoenix Court there
correct.
in the cemetery, so
Right.
it's a very
Exactly.
heavily
So
traveled road.
That's certainly a well-used road in town. Hubbardston Road, these are the numbers that you were given in the fall. They haven't changed. Hubbardston Road, which would not be the entire length of the road, it would be 2 sections of the road, that are in poor condition, and then there's one section that's in reasonably good condition. That'll cost 118, and also South Road, 152. As you can see, if we were to do all of these projects at full cost, the cost would be $618,000. We only have 450. So option one is not possible. Option two brings the cost down to $488,000, again, more than we have, and we get there by finding some other approach to cover the $130,000 for the design of Royalston Road, free cash, part of the capital program, for example, if we want to do that. But even with that, it still is roughly $38,000 more than we have to do Hubbardston South and the full Bridge Street project, as well as the design for Otter River. If we drop the design for Otter River under option 3 and do Bridge, Hubbardston, and South, it comes in at 446. That's a little less than the amount that we have available. So we can do those 3 projects if we find an alternative way of covering the design cost for Royalston Road. Now, Bud, when do you think that number is going to come in?
They indicated at the last meeting they were going to provide it to us early part of summer. They're still working on the first original $130,000
Right.
we set aside for them. And Nick, our engineer, said that he would get that date to me as soon as they had that.
That'll be the date when we have to pay the bill.
That'd be the date when we have to, put another allotment into Chapter 90 and hold it for them. They're soon to meet with Mass Highway. He indicated he was hoping to set up a meeting that I would meet them in Northampton to go over some details about 2 different options to do the road, either full reconstruction or reclamation and overlay. They don't recommend reclamation and overlay. That's a short-term fix, and it won't hold up over the future years.
Okay, and option 4, we drop down to the $120,000 option for Bridge Street, which is just reconstruction with a dense binder, but no top coat, no finish coat. And we do Hubbardston, we do South Road, and that would allow us about $50,000 to finish some of the projects that were done last year and the year before, where we have not done the finished course for those, for example, the parking lot here. So I just put that in there because I know some of these roads need to be completed with a top course or finish course. So those are the options and choices that you have. Good news is we have some money. We can get some important projects done. The streets that I rode with today, with Bud today, we were out there about 6 months ago. I had not looked at Bridge Street before, but other than drive over it to go to the Light and Water Department. But they're all in need and in very poor condition, very poor condition. So it's your decision. Now, or if you want to wait until the May 9th meeting, the next meeting, just look it over.
How the board members feel? Any?
But there's not enough money to go around. And I think that, I don't know, I know we had talked about Hubbardston and South before, but a lot of people have been complaining to me about the section of Otter River where we have to keep pumping it out. And during the winter, wow, right? I mean, it's a huge skating rink, which I don't see on some of the other roadways. I don't think that, I mean, we committed the money to Royalston Road, and I know every one of these streets needs to be done, but if you're saying that is, okay, so the, capital plan, was Royalston Road a part of that, or that was already slated through chapter 90, right?
First,
what
the
about,
first 130
Otter
was paid
River?
Chapter 90. The first
Otter
part
River was in chapter 92, right?
Yes, we've been paying for design with Chapter 90 money.
I don't know what to say. They're both, I mean, Bridge Street's really messy too, and it's well-traveled, but, I mean, all of them really are. Hubbardston Road is a cut through from one side to the other. South Road is traveled, because, I mean, a lot of new construction. I mean, they're all in need, so I wouldn't even, I mean, Royalston Road, we've already committed to that.
We've already committed, and the road is in such
That's
atrocious-
bad. I mean, that's bad, and that's been a long time project, that we need to do that one. And there's no guarantee, through the capital plan or free cash,
Right.
I mean, we had committed to that.
But we do have in stabilization, we have like,
Everybody will have a chance, okay?
so in stabilization,
144, I think.
there's 140 something.
About half, yeah.
So that is a little bit of reserve that could get applied to the 130 if we don't get any free cash money at the fall town meeting. So I think there probably all are alternatives to cover the 130. So then going with like option 3 would get us the major roads that we're getting a lot of complaints on, or option, yeah, if we did option 4, we could, instead of doing the other various top coats, could do the Otter River design out of that.
I just think that, if, I don't really wanna use stabilization just because it needs to be there. There's no, the likelihood of free cash at the fall town meeting is good.
And we're gonna have to get a 2/3 vote if we're gonna use
Yeah,
stabilization money at the,
We have like so little of it, and to use up our reserves for, I'm not seeing that as a good plan.
Yeah.
I mean, how do we ever, you know my thoughts on that, so.
Yeah.
All right. Julie, you wanna?
I'm looking at option 4 and then trying to find out, where else we can use money on Royalston Road design. But I agree with Diane too, that we don't
Well,
want to clean out.
There's no easy
know.
choice
I know
here.
there's not.
no?
But it's
Ev-
just in
every one
my
of these
head, Royalston
projects-
Road's been on the list for so long that to just kind of say now, oh, we're gonna find another place to get money and use something that, or depend on some future money that we're not really gonna have, and that 130 from 144 leaves us nothing, and that's really kind of what we promised we wouldn't do. So that's what makes me uncomfortable about that. Like, we're supposed to be rebuilding, not, I know our roads need to be done, and I get a lot of complaints, just like I'm sure all of you do. We travel them, but in my opinion, we committed to Royalston Road, so I think I would like to see us continue down that road even,
No, I think we have also somewhat committed to Otter River Road too.
we have, but Royalston's a mess.
Yeah, Royalston has
Just
got to
a
be our
mess.
biggest priority, I think. Ma'am, what?
I live
saw you
on
first.
Royalston Road.
Yes.
I know how dangerous it is, and I know about the amount of traffic that goes by on there. And it starts at 3 o'clock in the morning. There are lots and lots of people who live up in Royalston and up in that area that travel to go to Route 2 by our road. Either they go to Athol area to get on Route 2, or they come down this way. It is very dangerous. I would like it to stay the way it is in some degree, because they go fast now. How fast are they gonna go when the road is fixed, okay? That's just my little ditty I want to put in.
That's a long-established New England way of traffic calming.
That's true.
The only question is how long can we let this road deteriorate? There's not much left there.
I moved into my home in 1976, and the only thing I've seen on that road is Bud's crew patching up holes. And I'm gonna tell you, my driveway, on either side, I have a circular driveway, is getting closer and closer to the yellow line, which is in the middle. And then I have this gully that people that go by, when I go to get my mailbox or bring out my rubbish, I get, if it's any water there, they, you know? So that's the only thing. But the thing of it is, I've been there since 1976, and there has been nothing done on that road. Our part is pretty good the beginning, except that gully as you're coming up the hill by Tallman's place. But the rest of it down the road by that curve, that's a wonder that nobody's gotten killed there. Because that curve is wicked. And I'm sick and
We should
tired of
keep in
seeing
mi-
those
we should keep
pink
in mind that-
ribbons looking in my front yard, yes?
This is just design. This is a multi-million-dollar project.
I know
and
it is.
It will only be done with federal money passed through the Metropolitan
But the
Planning
thing of it
Authority
is, yeah.
and TIP funding. So we're looking at 4 to 5 years before
I
this
know, I'm
road
gonna
is going to
dead,
be
but
redone.
that's beside the point.
Yeah.
But to know
Hey, I
that
almost
we
saw the light
committed
twice
to
this past year.
start the project
Yeah.
is a good thing.
The
So,
thing of it is, something's got to be done about it. And the other thing is, we have a very high traffic of trucks. The sand trucks that come from the sandbanks down there, when they were building Boston, whatever that place, the bridge, tons and tons and tons of sand came from our town of Templeton to go to Boston to build, was it the tunnel or whatever they built out there?
Ted Williams Tunnel?
Yeah, so these trucking people, and we have a lot of truckers that go by that live up the street, these people pay a tax that is supposedly to go to Chapter 90 fund, you know, for the truckers. So how come we're not getting enough money to cover
Very
that?
good question.
Why aren't we getting enough money to cover that? Because I'm gonna tell you, they're still going by, you know, the truckers for the sand, the Tallmans, and then was the Hicks, that, the big sandbank is, the whole town is built on a sandbank, by the way. So, but the thing of it is, where is that money going? We're not getting enough money to build our road out this way. You know, anything beyond 495, they think we're whatever, we're the stone wall people. But the thing of it, that's where I'm coming from. There's gotta be more money. Somebody's gotta, come on, you know, raise the flags. We gotta get more money out here. And then the road, of course, the guys can't plow it that well because they don't dare put their plows down because of, and they're picking up the rocks and the tar. So in the wintertime, the road is slippery. The snow doesn't melt, and that's dangerous. I haven't been able to get out of my driveway or go up the street because of that. So I think, I know it's a long project, but I'm not gonna be here to see it, but I would have
Yes, you
voiced
will.
my opinion on it.
All right, thank you. Will?
As a resident of Hubbardston Road for the last 43 years, Hubbardston Road has seen a vast increase in the amount of traffic. Some of it is due to Cook Pond, because they don't want to end up going down South Road and dealing with that. It's only going to get worse when the school is built over there, because those people are not gonna wanna go down a one-way street either way, so we're gonna see increased traffic. In addition to that, it is a shortcut to Worcester from Athol and everywhere else. You can't imagine, we go to Worcester and see how many cars are coming from Hubbardston, from the new Templeton Road on, right past my house. 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, I see cars. I mean, unfortunately, sometimes I get up in the middle of the night because of my age, but I mean, I see the amount of cars going, and I see that amount of traffic. We've heard about Hubbardston Road 25 years ago, that it was supposed to be done the same thing as Royalston Road is going. And by the way, Royalston Road really needs to be done, because I had an opportunity last Friday to go to New Hampshire, and one of the ways was to go through Royalston Road, 168. I refused to go there. I had to go through Athol and Route 32, which is a very windy road, but it was a lot better shape than when Royalston Road. So I see a very big need, very much like Royalston Road, for Hubbardston Road to be done, because it is in bad shape. It always has been. When they ended up digging for the sewerage, the power line that goes through it, right where, in some of the areas, they found logs when the road was first built. And if you have to go back to what the process was years ago, when they went through any wet areas, one way to get through the wet areas, they would cut lumber down and put it down. It was very difficult when they ended up putting the sewage by my house, which, that's another issue in itself. But I mean, those are the issues. That road bed has to have, also be worked on, the same as Royalston. I mean, to me, those two roads have a lot of traffic, and I don't think that they have as much traffic on Otter River. And I don't disagree with Otter River is a problem either. We have too many roads in town that are problems. But I see a big need for both of these roads to be prioritized. So I'm just telling you that's what I see. The traffic has increased tremendously. I only see it going up more because of the fact that the school will be built in Cook Pond and everybody from South Road from there. And there's there's 60s to 70 homes. Each of them has at least 2 cars nowadays. So you're talking about 120 cars right there, locally, that will be using that on a daily basis. I don't know what the traffic is, but at one time, they actually had, for a very short period of time, and I'm not sure why, they were doing traffic counting at the beginning of Hubbardston Road, right where the Grange is.
How long ago was that?
Probably a couple of years ago, John.
I can check with MRPC and see if there's any
They
results.
did, that was their project.
That was?
They still have those numbers available.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
we'll
mean,
get a hold of
and
those.
even since that time, I've seen an increase in traffic. I mean, it's just, you can't imagine. It just, and it's even, if for some reason the economy in China gets better again, the dump that's past my house will end up again ramping up like they did a couple of years ago. And they started at before 6 o'clock, 18-wheelers, and around the clock, about one every hour and a half would either be going or coming down the road. Just like what you were talking about. So that's a big strain on the road. And that because of the junk metal. I mean, China was taking a lot of our metal, per se, and all it did is create a lot of traffic on the road. So, I mean, if that happens again when the economy really gets good, you're gonna see that ramp up too. So I'm saying that needs to be a priority. I'm gonna take and end up stopping there.
Well, I can't speak for the other members, but this is a difficult decision because every one of these projects has merit.
Absolutely, and I don't doubt that. I'm just saying that it's been 20, 25 years ago that it was talked about doing Hubbardston Road, much like the Barry Road.
So
I mean, that's been off the books.
Yeah, so if we were to leave off Bridge Street, which is, we never talked about that before, we could do 130 for Royalston Road design, also leave off Otter River's design. I mean, that, if we had to find money from somewhere else, that'd be one thing. We could do Hubbardston and South Road, and we would have to look at Otter River design and Bridge Street some other time, and we would have $8,501 left. And those would be the projects that we've talked about at previous meetings.
I agree with that
That would be my
100%.
vote.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't disagree that Bridge Street needs to be done. I don't, and Otter River, you just have to, that's kind of, I don't get to recognize you, I'm
Just
sorry.
a question on the South Road, does that include the drainage issues that we've been talking about?
No, it doesn't.
So you're gonna read to it?
It
but no
doesn't, it doesn't
drainage.
include the drainage issue up there. That's gonna be a very costly project, drainage project, because of the area it's gonna drain to. It's somewhere like 3,000 feet long, and that's gonna get into some serious money. I just wanted to remind the board that this document here, these numbers for Hubbardston Road and South Road that we're speaking about, they're not the entire road. They're on Hubbardston Road, it's a section of road from Victoria Lane to Cross Road, which is the worst of Hubbardston Road. And on South Road, it's from Wellington Road to about the Chartier residence, which
I
would
knew
be
it wasn't
within
that
that
road. Did
drainage
you know
project.
that?
So-
I was aware.
Okay, I just
We
want to,
had talked about that before, so
Well-
can I, okay, so we're kind of.
well, I just wanted to point it out for the
But
sake
the-
of anybody listening to this meeting tonight, that they don't think all of
It's
South
not the whole
Road's-
road,
okay.
yeah, so. Okay, can we just, the drainage part, so are we gonna do this and then have to, so tired of only having money for Band-Aids, what happens? I mean,
Well,
is it better to look at, I don't know, we've just talked about South Road and Hubbardston before, and I think, you know, I don't know whether anyone is worse, but is Bridge Street, is that like, is that a full fix, or is this like oh, well, we can't do the drainage, or like Otter River Road, like, can you?
Okay, I'll speak about Bridge Street. As far as Bridge Street, in the area that needs to be drained already has drainage in it. The other part of the beginning of Bridge Street up into approximately this Holman Street has drainage. From that point on, it's country drainage. It drains off. There's enough low-lying areas that the water can drain off to. The worst of Bridge Street currently right now is from about the apartments to Hospital Road. That portion of the road is just completely gone. We're spending a lot of time and a lot of money keeping it cold patched. So that needs,
I hate that stuff too.
well, we all hate it. I hate it too. yes.
I just,
So as far as the drainage project, because of a lack of funds currently, I would recommend the board table that for a little bit longer, perhaps maybe when free cash becomes available, you could reconsider whether you wanted to have that design updated so that it's current. Currently, right now, we're pumping it out. It happens when we get couple of good heavy rainstorms.
Otter River?
For Otter River.
Yeah, I already
We've been
did.
keeping
I
the
already
island,
did.
we've been keeping the island drained down
Yeah.
so that it's not a water hazard or an ice hazard. So we've been staying on top of it. It takes us very little time to pump it out. It is kind of a little bit of a bother, but we don't have the money right now to pay for the design and to have the project move forward. And like I say, it was $225,000 10 years ago. I don't know what it would be today. But that's just a number to work with. So if the board wishes, they could table that for now until some other funds become available and take care of the priority of, these three roads mentioned in one shape or another. Which is the worst? All three draw about the same number.
yeah,
There-
I agree.
Bob asked me that
It's-
today, if I had a preference, and barring that, they're all equally as bad.
I forgot what my question was.
I have a question.
you again?
Hubbardston Road, does that need any drainage work as well?
Not in the area.
I mean, are we Band-Aiding South Road at this amount of money? If we do it without doing drainage, because that's happened where I live, actually. So I don't know that I like that idea so that doesn't include any drainage on South Road?
No, it doesn't.
That amount? Okay.
It does not. That's back when we didn't have the population on these roads, drainage wasn't an issue, but because of the house building and, changing the lay of the land on either side of the road has now created problems that we have to face in the future. South Road, to put a drainage project up through there, I would recommend that we would hire a consultant to engineer a drainage system proper for that area. It's pretty much a flat area. It's not an easy drain, to drain it off. Like I say,
Well, I would
it's built out.
expect a project of that size that we would be hiring an engineer to design it anyways.
Yeah, to design it, correct. I'm all for that.
Through the chair, can I ask a question about
Certainly.
On Hubbardston Road, about 600 feet before Laurel View, it drops off because of where the sewage is. You're not talking about doing anything there?
No, nothing in that area.
Because that, in the wintertime, that's really a bad shape. The other thing is, you asked about drainage, and I didn't mention it. The drainage that comes down that hill, because of where they put the houses along there, it becomes really icy.
Down which hill? What, we,
Just before my house, about halfway, a half mile out to where it crests on Hubbardston Road, where my house is. It's all downhill, and all along there, the drainage from the driveways and off the road come on, and they've had to take it I know the highway department comes out quite often to sand that, and also where that dip is in the road where the sewerage is. So, I mean, those are issues that at some point are going to have to be addressed. I mean, I'm not foolish enough that they can believe we're gonna spend multi-millions on 2 roads at the same time. It's just not gonna happen. But we gotta look at some of these things for the future also.
Jeff?
I have 2 questions, and it's both about chapter 90. One would be, what is the status of the excavator? Is there chapter 90 money tied up in that piece of equipment, or is that off the books now, or?
It's off the books.
That is off the books?
It's been paid for.
So there's no chapter. Second of all, in your update, Bob, you said that there was $114,000 of chapter 90 money left from the previous year.
Right.
Is that like as of today, or?
As of today.
Because in the budget to actuals,
Yeah.
there's, it shows the $334,000 X
Right.
dollars that we
Right.
received for the 16, and of that, there's $59,000 that I was told by the accountant that has been spent, that was left over from the previous. So I was just wondering,
Well, I asked that they check with Boston and get the most up-to-date number on that, so.
Current sheet that came in today was
781.
114,781.
okay, because like I said, the budget to actual shows
Yeah.
$59,000 more than the 334. And I
We're
was told-
promised the 335, but it hasn't been, actually, it was supposed to be signed by the governor today. The bill was passed at his desk to be signed today, but it hasn't been placed in our account or any other community's account as of.
But if you look on the, the DOT website, they show the allocation. So I think we're guaranteed that.
We're guaranteed that. It
The
just
governor,
hasn't been-
there's also $100 million authorized by the legislature that the governor has not released for 2
Additional.
years. So I don't know if that's going to be released because there are budget issues at the state level, but something like that lightning could strike and we might get another shot of it, but we're not counting on it.
Yes, sir.
Templeman's commitment to the design phase of Royalston Road, is that our only commitment to get the project going, or are we gonna commit it to more money?
Well, right now, we're just talking about the design.
Design?
To actually do the construction, as Bob said earlier, we
Millions.
have to apply for federal funds to get the money to do that, and could be anywhere, 5 years is a reasonable estimate in terms of the time involved.
You can't get a project like that listed on the tip until your design, seriously, until the design is done. So they insist that you do that up front. And then they'll, they're aware of what's going on. They're encouraging it. As Bud said, that they're back and forth on whether or not to do a full reconstruct or whether to do grind what little pavement is there and recycle it. So it's not a surprise to them. But before we have any realistic chance of being funded, we have to have the full design into them and get the project listed.
Which is moving fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Our engineers are pushing it forward quicker than expected,
Right.
so that we may be lucky enough to get the project started in a 3-year period.
Well, I think too,
talked about before.
I think too that you have to understand that the federal funds we're talking about here now are siphoned through the Metropolitan Planning Organization, which is MRPC. It's one pot of money, and there's, I don't know how many towns offhand that are all competing for it.
Everybody has a hand in.
So, yeah, Julie,
So if this year, if you vote to use 130,000.
could you speak up? I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh. If this year you vote to use 130,000 for the design phase of Royalston, will the design be complete this year?
No,
No, 3 years.
it's approximately,
Third shot.
excuse me, through the chair, the cost of the design is gonna be in the ballpark of 400,000 plus, pretty much like Dudley Road was. We've committed the first 130,000, which our engineers are working on that portion of the money right now, soon to be used up, and then that's why we're asking for another 130,000 to continue the design, so that they can get at 25% of the design phase.
So you can apply to get on the tip when you have 25%
At 25,
design?
yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Right now, we have a project number through Mass DOT. They recognize the project, they know it's in design, so we have a project number. But until we have 25% done, it won't. I mean, MRPC is aware of it, but, you know, we gotta go through the channel.
I definitely want to see Royalston Road continue so that we can. We had talked about before being able to possibly speed up that process. So it's a matter of, you know, I mean, you don't, I still would like to go with Hubbardston Road and South Road. And, you know, and let's see what happens with if you're, you know, again, I'd already taken off Otter River as much as the residents there. And I know my parents live down there too. And we cross over there to go to school. I know you're pumping it, but I think that, you know, we could take care of that later in Bridge Street. Yeah, that's definitely a problem. I think my only thing, the same, you know, Julie's asking is to do a Band-Aid. I mean, if we did Bridge Street, is that gonna, you know, is that gonna take care of that whole thing? Or, I don't know, it's just, I would like to just stick with what we had talked about before and just move forward with, you know, we know that we have to keep Bridge Street on the horizon. We know we're gonna have to give more money for Royalston Road again, and to just, you know, that's where I'm at with that. I don't know how the rest of you feel about that's the motion I would make.
As I'm looking at this, I'm thinking Royalston Road design, South Road, Hubbardston Road, and then 50,000 for top coat on various jobs that aren't complete yet in town.
Yeah.
Brings us to 450, 382. That would be
Yeah, I
my
think
vote.
okay.
Hubbardston South and
Right.
Royalston, and then set some money aside to
50,000
finish
for
up some of the
yeah.
streets
So you
where
take
we only
option
have a
4,
binder coat, right?
take option 4, pull out Bridge Street.
And pull out
Put
Bridge.
Royalston Road in.
Right,
And it works out.
the design.
is that,
So Royalston is 130
Yeah, that's what I would propose, that you take option 4,
minus.
pull out Bridge Street, and
Okay.
put,
all
Pull
right,
out
why don't
Bridge
you,
and put the
So-
design, Royalston Road design.
Doug has a proposal here. Why
Oh,
don't-
so I have that,
Yeah.
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 I did it wrong last time, I got it. I was just checking numbers that I had done. That's fine, we're good.
Okay, are we okay,
Absolutely.
we okay with that?
Yep.
You're okay with that?
I'm good. He's gonna say exactly what I just said, I think.
Okay.
So we're good.
You go.
Take a motion.
And I was
We
like,
want everybody to be happy.
so do you have what we
All right.
said?
Let me just make sure I got Royalston South and Hubbardston.
At
I
the
mean,
118
Royalston
to-
South and Hubbardston.
Yeah, 118, 230.
With a little money left over that can be used to
Mhm.
complete those streets where we have only the base
Yeah.
coat down.
right, so the motion would be that we approve the 130 for Royalston Road, the 118, 230 for Hubbardston Road, the 152 for South Road, and then the 50,000 for various other finishing projects for a total of 450, 230.
All right. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second. Any other questions, Bud?
Not a question, but just a point, the 50,000 will buy us 762 ton of top coat.
Okay.
So you won't get many streets done with that amount, unless they're short streets. So I'll have to measure up some streets and see where, you know, the best,
Bang for the buck is.
Could any of that be applied to Bridge Street? And not, I don't know, I'm not a highway person, but
well, it could.
I'm just saying, is that enough?
The
To do any-
recommendation for Bridge Street was the entirety. We could section it and take the worst section, you could, if you wanted to, and do $50,000 worth of work on the worst section that we're constantly up there maintaining.
Does that make
That's not a bad idea.
I'm gonna stick with the thought of finishing roads that haven't gotten finished in the last 2 or 3 years. I'm sorry, I'm sticking to that with my vote.
I kinda
It's
think
to
too.
finish them, the ones that have already been
Be able to
started.
finish them?
We need to finish those and get them off the map, I think.
Well, we have.
That's where my 50,000 I thought was
I
going.
guess the question would be then, you know, and I understand what you're saying, but I guess the question would be for the board to decide
We
is
just
where do
did.
you want to start putting top coat on, the ones that we put base binder on 7 years ago? We started a program using dense binder so that we could get more streets done. And, I mean, if that's the way you want to do it, I don't mind.
We have a list of, I mean, I don't
I'm
know
gonna-
how much
Right.
ton goes to what, but yes, we would have to
Right,
choose the older streets over the newer streets. So the
That's-
newer streets that we've done would have to
That's-
wait.
Well, that's my point.
Okay.
Like, for
So
example,
could we see that?
we did Farnsworth Road in dense binder years ago.
Yeah.
That was one of the first ones the board approved. So that's what I'm asking, does the board want me to start it where we started 7 years ago and
I'd like
start
to see a
working?
list.
You know, I'm sorry, I didn't.
I
hear.
would like to see a list before that decision was made, I
Yeah,
guess.
I don't know what to
And
say.
see how far back we have to
Okay.
go. I don't know.
Right. I think what would be helpful too in this list is we have the lists of the ones that aren't finished and then how many tons of top coat is it gonna take to finish that road? So you could say Farnsworth is 50 tons, X Road is 100 tons.
It's a list that I had provided to the board, the previous board or boards, of roads that we had done in dense binder and that needed to be top coat and what the costs were in that time frame. I still have that. I know it's probably somewhere here in an old file, but I've got it on my computer. I'll print it out and give you some cost estimates.
Thank you.
All right.
Also, while Bud is here, when we did our tour today, he showed me some very large, very dead trees. And you recall last time when we reviewed the budget, we added $1,500, so he's got $6,500 in the coming year to address some of the tree issues. It's not gonna take us very far, but
How far is it gonna take us?
I looked at some trees
Can-
today that really need to come down, and are clearly a hazard.
How far will that take us, Bud? Because that was really, part of, wow, that's not good if,
My department will take down every tree that we can handle, as far as height-wise. It doesn't matter how big it is, it's how tall it is. That money will be used to hire out a company to come in with a taller bucket truck that can reach the top of the trees. And I had spoke to Bob about this and with some time today about that typically it's $1,000 a day. When they come in, it's $1,000 a day. Where we can stretch the money out is I can have the company top the tree to a point of where we can handle it from that point down. They don't have to take the entire tree down. We'll take down what we can reach, and they just take the tops off. So I can get more trees done, and then we'll do the cleanup work on it. So that's about the only way we're gonna gain. But I had showed Bob a few trees, and I know a couple of members had asked for a list, and we've got a list that we've started, and I'll have it to you soon. We're working on it. We're trying to be very thorough.
Do we want to vote?
I just don't want to happen what's happened in other places. And
We won't
it's
let
been
that
all over
happen.
the
We-
news, and
we
that makes
patrol
me
the
really
roads.
nervous. And I
Yes.
know you do,
We
that's
do
not,
patrol
I'm not
roads, and
questioning
we
that.
keep an eye on all the worst things, and those are the first things that we take down.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion on the floor, which,
I did second that too.
yeah, which was for Royalston Road, Hubbardston Road, South Road, and Topco. That's, my recollection is correct.
Yep, correct, yep.
Well, being an old guy, sometimes my recollection isn't so good.
That's pretty good.
All right, so, further discussion? Hearing none. Diane?
Yes.